Did I tell you? Did I tell you we're gonna break down the 10-gallon tank today as well?
Yeah, so guys, one thing I did not really talk about is that I'm gonna break down the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank as well. As you know, there's no fish in this tank for a while already. And as you can see, the corals are still happy, especially the zoas, the zinnias, and the mushrooms. And I've been feeding the phehedendro, and you see a lot of babies actually popping out. But there are just simply too many tanks. And you may notice that there's no flow in the tank right now, and there's a reason. I actually shut off the pump to dose some final doses of Aptasia X to address some of these Aptasias I see on the rock before I transfer these rocks to a 145-gallon tank. So there are simply too many tanks to take care of at this stage in life, especially with the 135 coming up. It's gonna take a lot of my energy. So I plan to keep the 135. I plan to move the Mangrove tank up to here where the 10-gallon tank is. I feel like it would be nice and relaxing because like as I'm sitting where Emily is right now doing some work, and just spin, I'll get some greeneries from the mangrove and then get some of the reef aspect to it as well. It would just be a nice tank. Debating where I should put the sexy shrimp. Most likely I'll keep them in the mangrove tank, but yeah, looks like, oh, I got a females now. I got 3. I had 4 maybe like 2 months ago, but looks like I got 3 of them, so I will have to move them somewhere first. Oh no, sorry, there's 4. The 4th one's there. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I got 4 females. You can tell they're females because oh, actually no, is this a male? Okay, that one's kind of tough to see. I think that may be a male actually. The tail portion of the shrimp is broken up versus a male has a full band. Yeah, it actually looks like a male. It's not broken up. So that's how you distinguish between male and female. And also the female also has like a bigger body. Because the male let the female eat all the good food. Because the male is gentleman. Another really interesting thing about this tank actually is let me see if I can find any. There's actually a lot of really tiny shrimps swimming around. Let me see. I turned off the flow, so they're all kind of freaking out a little bit. So yeah, I think they all. Oh, there it is. I actually grabbed some food and just swam off of it. That's kind of cool to see. Oh, there. You guys see that? So these are mysid shrimps. These are like adult shrimps, but they're just tiny. And I seeded them. I think once from Absolutely Fish in New Jersey, and second time from Rick's Pet Supplies in Frederick. So they're all over this tank. Same thing with the 45 gallons tank. And I'm hoping that some of these shrimp will kind of piggyback right with the live rock and go into the 135. That would be fantastic. All right, so this is one quick last look of the 10-gallon tank. I've been slowly shutting things down. You see all the frog spawn has been gone for a couple weeks already. Let's see. These zoas, Rasta seems happy in this light, same as the space monsters. However, these guys right here, I think it's Devil's Armor and also other chaos, you see that they're stretching up. So they could really benefit with a stronger light or a stronger setting. I know a lot of you guys asked me about the Aqua Nights 08029. I still really like this light. The light setting I use is full blue, 100% blue, and there's 6 clicks on the white button. And this is the spectrum. It's mainly for the spectrum for me. This light, even though some of the zoa is stretching up a little bit, for the most part, perfectly fine for soft corals, LPS, and even some SPS. And if you need more oomph, then put more white on it and you get more power. Alright guys, I'm gonna grab the 2 most priced live rock I got, which is my Zoa Garden. These 2 rocks made up of basically my Zoa Garden. That's these 2 right here. And secretly I feel like these are actually the demise of my frog spawn. Oh.
Wait, is that the glove from the kitchen?
No, I got a couple. This is specifically for Reef.
You sure?
Yeah. I wouldn't want those like.
I would kill you.
I wouldn't want those kitchen oil on this. Okay, so we got this guy right here. This one. Here's the second one, and because of we content creators, we're gonna try to flamingo this. Here's the second piece. This is my most priced rock right here, and you can see why. There's 2 jawbreakers. Hey. Ew. Alright, so here it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
What?
Yeah, okay. Here it is. My Zoa Garden. Fine. 係咪好橙色啊？係嘅。Alexa, turn on stand lights. Okay, where should we put it? Right here for now. 手套太短。Big tent problem number 1. All those protective equipments, I gotta get new ones because apparently it's too short. I can't reach the bottom.
Like you're too short.
Oh shit.
That's what she said.
Shit. Oh, let me see that.
There we are.
Come around. Okay, now is waterproof.
No, it's not.
Turn on that light. Turn on that light so I can see. No, that one. Oh, shit.
Fail. 你下次幫你揾膠紙封住佢。
封住 OK 喎。
2000 years later。
呢個係藝術人嘅執着，你唔會明㗎。搞掂，收工。
Yeah.
2,000 years later.
Hey, what's up, guys? Today is time for the clownfish to go to their new home. Originally, I was thinking to move them over maybe in another 2 or 3 weeks. However, because I really want to move this tank, ooh, should I say that right now? I guess I did. It's okay. I really want to move this tank either today or tomorrow, so I might as well use this chance to move the corals and the fish out of this tank. And the reason I'm confident in doing it a little bit earlier is because I have shrimps, I have urchins in the 135 for a week and a half, 2 weeks already, and they all appear fine, super healthy, super happy with the new environment. So clownfish, being part of the damselfish family, they're super hardy. Some people even use them to cycle their tank, which I'm not a fan of. But they will be okay at this point going to the tank. I'm really confident. Otherwise, I would not risk them. I've had them for 5 years. Now, the tricky part is to catch them. They already know something is up. Usually, they swim right up to me. The reason I want them to get close is because usually, whenever possible, I like to catch my fish with my hand because my hand is a little bit softer
Let me
than
try.
my nets. You gotta wash your hand first. I thought you're afraid of fish.
Not this one.
Not this one. You want to try? You just gotta scoop, like corner them and scoop them.
Let me.
Okay. Yeah, go wash your hand first.
just try
Cause like, yeah, we want to wash our hands because like our hands sometimes have like lotion and stuff like that. That's really bad towards like coral reef. And speaking of which, check out these plants, man. Look at this. This is one of the new leaf that came out, almost perfectly formed, beautiful. Recently, I started getting a little bit more into plant keeping, but that's for a whole different video. Oh, but I want to show this as well. Look at this. Any of you guys keeping carnivorous plants? If so, this is a B52. That's a Venus flytrap, and that's a bird of paradise, and that's just like pitcher plants.
These are mine.
Yeah, we don't care about those. All right, let's go.
What? Let me hand feed them.
Okay.
Boo, 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 boo,
don't like her.
boo, boo, boo.
They're not.
Come on, fishy. Let me step on you.
All right, so from this, we've concluded that these fish don't like her.
I don't like them either.
Okay, Dan. All right, let me do it. This is the female.
4,000 years
Okay, there you go. Video. Okay, here's the female. And then we'll go for the male. All right, here's the male. Okay, that's it. Here we go.
I can feel that Mel is not happy. Because he thought that you can finally kick out the female and then you put them together
It's like
again.
freedom, and then nope.
All the wrinkles.
All right,
Okay,
let's
good.
get them in the new home. Come
So
on.
natural. So ugly.
Come on. Hit photo. Okay. Okay, so right now, I'm not gonna put them in yet. Tank's at the same temperature. Basically, I'm just adding some of the tank water in this little water. And I'll repeat this every maybe like 5 or 10 minutes.
Push it.
No. The parameter should be really similar because they use the same salts. Temperature is the same. So it should be pretty quick. And again, clownfish is pretty hardy in terms of acclimation and whatnot. So we're gonna do a relatively quick ones, maybe like 15-20 minutes, then we'll release the clownfish. So see you back then.
Moments later.
Alright guys, so it has been about 30 minutes from this point and they are acclimated and ready to go to the new home. So again, they were my first clowns coming into the 45-gallon tank, and then they got exiled to the Mangrove 17-gallon until this tank is ready. And at this point, this tank is more than ready to go. Oh no, don't go near the power head. There you go, guys. That's your new home. I think some of these rocks are gonna look really familiar to them because obviously a lot of them came from actually all the tanks that they've been in except for the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank. For example, like this piece right here is actually one of the front left structure from the 45-gallon tank. So I'm gonna turn off the light, let them kind of hang out a little bit to acclimate. They're probably like in shock right now. I was like, what the heck is going on? And then we'll check back with them in a little bit.
3 days later.
So after 3 days of acclimating to this tank, it seems like these clowns are finally at home. The one interesting thing is that they actually swim up to the front of the tank now, whenever I'm in front of the tank, versus when it was in the 45-gallon tank, I don't think they really did that. I noticed that in the Mangrove tank, they did this as well, and it's a little bit more obvious in the 135. Maybe it's because the tank is a little bit larger, so it's a little bit easier to see that the fish are actually trying to swim up to greet you versus in a smaller tank. They're kind of always there. They probably just want food, and that is okay. So we're gonna hook them up with a little pellets. And since we're looking at this tank, let me just give you guys a really quick look. Now these are the rocks from the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank that you saw earlier in this video. These are the Zoa rocks. It's funny because in the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank, these are pretty much the centerpiece, and the 45, they're a prominent piece, but when we drop it in the 135, they're kind of like a footnote. It's kind of sad, but that's probably because a lot of these Zoas not fully open yet, because the light is not quite reaching the front portion of the tank, but that is okay. New light will be coming, I believe, in a week or two, and then we'll be all set. We'll be all lit. So right now, this is only temporary. But in terms of corals right now, we got the green star polyp from Dave's Nano Tank, thanks to Billy Pipes for hooking me up. We got some of those more green star polyp over there, as well as back there, and these are the ones from my 17-gallon drop-off tank. These are the neon green star polyps. And over here we do have some rocks from the 45-gallon tank as well. These are the grandes, and we got some Bali Minimax. We got the green tree leather, which I got littered around the tank. And of course we got the Kryptonite. Candy King was really happy. Same thing with the Xenia. The Xenia, I purposely leave them in separate island, that's in low flow area. Separate islands just so that they don't spread like wildfire if they do well, and low flow just so that we can see the pulse motion. Now as you can see, they're not really pulsing much compared to in the 10-gallon or even the 45, but I think that will come as I start dosing things to bring the parameters up to spec. Sliding over here, we got the frog spawn. For the frog spawn, the ones that survived are doing extremely well. Actually, they kind of contracted a little bit simply because I was tweaking the flow. The flow is actually a lot higher than what is used to. So it's a little bit pissed off, but the ones that are doing good is good, but the one that's on the way out is on the way out, sadly. Since we're talking about flow, the flow-wise, I'm trying to do a standing wave. Since this is a new tank with a solid stand, I feel a little bit more comfortable going standing wave, meaning that it's gonna get like that back and forth sway motion. Don't quite have it yet, but we see the nice little beginning of it. I feel like I need to crank this up a little bit higher, or I may even need another one to do anti-sync against this one, but that's something for down the line. For now, I'm happy. And also in this tank, we do have the 4 sexy shrimps from the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank. We see one right there. Usually there's one like around this area, but she is, oh wait, there she is. So that's one right there. And there's usually 2 of those guys hanging out on the ladder, which they're missing right now, but there's 4 of them in this tank. So it's kind of like a fun little exercise. Every live stream on Instagram, I'd be like, oh, let's look for the sexy shrimps. And we start looking for like a good 2-3 minutes. And coming down to some, I have not brought the protein skimmer online yet. I'm trying to modify the stand here because right now, I think there's about 4 inches, a little bit too tall. I only need 2 or 2.5 inches to prop this up. So I'll modify it, plop the skimmer up a little bit, and then we'll bring the skimmer online. And coming over here, we have a refugium. And a refugium is red dragon breath macroalgae that came from Top Shelf Aquatic that I'll probably talk about in a week or 2. Right now, my predicament is that I'm trying to generate some flow in here, a little bit more flow. So the macroalgae will not just kind of sit stagnant on the ground. The problem is that power head chews up all the macroalgae if I just leave it running. So I need to construct some kind of cage or something to keep the macroalgae from being sucked into the power head. If you have an idea, let me know. Would love to hear it. And over here, of course, I got a bunch of these trusted biomedia, a lot of them from 45-gallon tank. The spheres are from the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank, but again, all these things, we'll talk about it a lot more in depth in one of the future 145-gallon tank update. Now, before I sign off though, I do want to talk a little bit about the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank. So that system started out with $146 worth of equipment, and with just $146 of equipment, you can definitely get by. Of course, you have to add the cost of live rock, sand, water, livestock, etc. But equipment-wise, $146, as long as you can keep up the water top off to keep the parameters consistent, and as long as you can do like weekly or every other week water change, really simple reef system, you can totally do this. There are a couple pieces of information that I'd like to share before we kind of sign off on that tank. Number one, if you have some extra funding, invest in an auto top-off system. It'll bring a tremendous amount of stability to your tank, because each time when your water evaporates, the salt remains in your system. So as your water leaves the system, your tank's salinity goes higher and higher, and that's never good, because as everybody's telling you, stability is king. So if you have some extra budget, invest in a good auto top-off system. Now you can go high-end like a XP Aqua Duatos. Those are fantastic ones. That's about like $80, $90. Or you can go super cheap. They got some 3D printed little tank mounts. That's like $10. Basically, you screw on a soda bottle or water bottle, and then you screw on that little 3D printed cap or clip, and you flip it upside down, and the water is gonna auto-fill to that level. So that totally works. Another really popular question I get is whether I dose anything in the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank. At one point I did. I was dosing Tropic Marins all for reef, and it worked really well. To be completely honest, since I was doing weekly water change or every other week water change, dosing is honestly not really necessary. I did it simply to test out the single channel doser and also to try out the all for reef. All for reef from Tropic Marin is basically a equal part dosing solution where you don't have to do like different portions, plus everything is calculated for you, everything is balanced. You just dose this one product and that's it. Since I was not keeping some hardcore SPS, dosing was totally not necessary for my tank. Water change is completely fine. Now, one issue I have with dosing off of reef is that the lime will get crystallized. Like whatever was remaining in the tube will kind of like harden up, and then it'll block the liquid from going through. One thing that my Reef Sensei Telegram told me that is that he actually keep the output, like the tube, underwater versus like on top of it, which was what I did. And apparently that's something that other people have done before as well. That will prevent the crystallization within the tube. This is a fantastic tip that I wish I've known a little bit earlier. And finally, another really popular question is about the light. The lights I have is the Aqualight A029, and on my Mangrove tank I have the Aqualight A030. These are really powerful light for the price. I think it's about $70 and it's running at about 60 watts. With that light, softies, LPS, no problem at all. I was having a little issue with SPS, but that's probably because the SPS I kept was like all the way on the edge of the tank, so the light was not directly over it. I've had people reaching out to me saying that they have kept Acropora under that light with no issue, and Acropora is going well. So this light is definitely potent. So yes, this light works, it grows corals, and it was able to keep Bubbletip and Enemy really happy as well. I have some really sad news to share. So you may have noticed that the baby clownfish from the 10-gallon Budget Nano tank has disappeared. I have been living in the 45-gallon tank since I was in the process of tearing down the Budget Nano tank. And the two baby clowns are doing fantastic in the 45-gallon tank for about 2 months. And then one day, DJ MM disappeared. I could not find him anywhere. I looked all over the place, I looked in overflow, nothing. And 3 days later, Nemo disappeared as well. But this time we got confirmation. I actually found his body on the sandbed, all beaten up. It was almost like he got caught by a predator and pulled under into a den or something like that. It was really sad. Not just me is sad. I mean, Emily was really sad as well, because like DJ MM was one of the first fish that she ever liked. The loss of the two baby clownfish was definitely felt sorely. The plan was for that pair to go into a Mangrove tank because it was a nice update from the 10-gallon to a 17-gallon. But unfortunately, they did not make the transfer. So the Mangrove tank is probably going to be sitting fishless until I figure out what to do with that tank. Well, technically not really. Kramer's in there right now, but I think Kramer is gonna go into this tank pretty soon. Probably by the time you watch this video, Kramer's probably swimming around in here already with the other pair of clowns. But yeah, that's the sad story with DJMM and Nemo. Sorry to end this video on sad notes like this. Next week's video is gonna be a little bit more upbeat. Actually, nah, maybe not really, but it's also dramatic. Big changes happening around the house. We gotta say goodbye sometimes, but I feel like that also opened the doors to new happenings as well. Well, I hope you guys are staying safe and staying indoor, and I will see you guys next Sunday at 12:30 p.m. sharp. Bye. The silver belly wrasse just jumped out.